Well, listen, I don't think I'm going to need a lot of support at this point. The first thing I wanted to say is just thank you. This is so exciting. Oh my gosh. Nick, you promised me, right? Like once we turn on this faucet, there will come a point where you're like, okay, hold on.
Yeah, I
I don't
got
know if
too
I can
much.
keep
I
up
got
with
too
all
much.
this goodness, but I am so happy. So thank you so, so much to you and the team.
You're so welcome. And it's very nice and refreshing to hear. I'm actually looking at your stats right now and I see why you are so happy too. I think you've got here's the
I have
crazy.
17 deals in play, thanks to you guys.
Wow.
I'm 100% people picking up the phone, using the strategy. So what I did is I took your little like notes of the call and I laminated it. So I've got it like easy to throw in my purse. So wherever I am, I'm just going through it,
Yeah.
diving in. On
Wow.
Tuesday next week, I'm bringing my husband as my bodyguard, and we're going to go and look at like 12 places to do our
Wow.
own photography. I've got 3 potential investors in Amherst and Buffalo. Then I'm then the week after going to sit down and have some conversations with about the pieces that I'm going to have like under contract by that point, if there's anything of interest to those groups, or to bring it back to Dedric and Krystal. So I am feeling like things are rolling well. I guess my only question in looking, because again, with all your video training, right, you promised we would look at KPIs and say, like, is this the most effective? It
Yes.
seems to me like there's not a lot of campaigns that have happened in my little Western New York area. I
Right.
wonder if I should maybe ask you to broaden it beyond land to houses.
So that's not a bad idea. It would be drastically different.
Oh, it
Um,
would be. Okay.
I generally land is absolutely amazing because what we're doing, almost nobody does to landowners, right? The downside to houses is what we do is what everyone else does for houses, right? The texting.
Okay.
Now, and I'm not saying don't do it. I think it would be, here would be my professional advice. And this campaign's off to a huge hit. So you definitely know that what we're doing is right. And what I might do if I were you is if you wanted to pivot to houses, buy our smallest package. Okay. And then that way it's not a big investment. And then you can like kind of test the waters out. Because I don't want to put my prejudice on you and say, no, because sometimes I'm wrong. And I'm not saying it will be good or bad, but often land does produce 2 to 4 times more leads than houses.
Okay.
So
Well, then you know what, Nick? Let's keep it at that then, right? Let's keep it at that because, on this side, what Dedric and Krystal's coaching program does is really targeted at houses.
yeah,
So I think what I'm going to do is with the package that I have with you guys, I want to get a bit more understanding of like how much longer this campaign can go on for,
yeah.
what my next campaign will look like. I already want to kind of plan it out, like get a calendar, like get going with that. And then I think I'll just continue to work with Dedric and Krystal. Like once I start driving the neighborhoods that I want to be doing the investing in, it might become more natural to get a sense of like looking at houses that I can just source on Deal Machine and be like, okay, here's the address and away we go on that. Easy, right? So I think that kind of brings me back then to just staying in this state of complete gratitude with you guys about what you're doing for me here. This is,
Yeah. No, no.
how delightful to be like struggling to keep up. I got myself, I decided, like you said, like to print everything off. So I got a cute little binder
Oh, good
and
for
I'm up
you.
to like, yeah, I've got 17 active situations right now.
Wow. That's wild. And so you actually have a very high conversion rate because I see we've gotten you 23 leads. So if you're having 17 conversations on 23 leads, that's good. And just so you know, Dedric and Krystal, they do land too. So I would chat with him because when I met, he's actually wanting to, because he knows how good we do with land. And they do it, they don't primarily focus on it. But to share with you too, their expertise does splash over to land as well. And
Okay.
my real advice would be close a deal, get a big profit, and buy a little house campaign just to get a feel for it. There are pockets that are completely ignored sometimes by other investors, right? Even in houses, you know. But so that would probably be my advice. But just to share with you too, they can help you universally.
Yep.
They've even hired us for a land campaign in the past as well.
Okay,
too.
good.
Yeah. And if you want, I can just cover your stats with you real quick.
Is that
And
what you had put in the email? Because I looked at it, I'm like, oh, this is
yes.
really interesting. Is that the visual that you had put to the PDF?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let me do a screen share here. Which is it? This one? Yes, it's this one right here. Yeah, so this document you can actually find inside of our calendar invite as
Yep,
well.
that's it. Beautiful.
Perfect. And yeah, I mean, these, like you mentioned, right when I opened this up, like these results are stellar. So you mentioned a couple of questions. I'm going to answer them all when I cover these. So the
Okay.
first thing is, we are only halfway done with this campaign.
That's
So
my big question is where are we at? Halfway
yeah,
through. Is
so
that
the
measured by dials or by days?
um by it's measured by both. And I'll explain that momentarily. So you bought the bazooka package, so we do have a certain amount of dials. When you signed up, you had asked us how many weeks do you want it to last, or you told us, and you said 4. So that's why I say it's both, right? So we are exactly halfway through the dials and halfway through the text, and we are 2 out of 4 weeks into the campaign, especially because this week is ending this week. So by the time tomorrow ends, you'll have 2 more weeks left of this campaign. We can shorten that, we can lengthen it, we could leave it as it is too. That's one of the cool things about us as well. So you're not like stuck into the 4 weeks. If you're like, let's just wrap it all up next week, we can do that. I know that's not what you're saying, but just to share the freedom
Okay.
that you have with us. So we do have 2 full weeks left, which is great. So 22 leads and only halfway through. I mean, that's really, I mean, that means we might be averaging 44 by the time that this is done. And you have about a 75% contact ratio on your side. So you might have whatever, about 37 deals, 35 things in play by the time this is done, if the numbers continue to average. So that's very encouraging. Your stats were really good. We made 921 dials. 161 people picked up the phone.
Sorry, Nick,
That's
just so I can follow, can you show me what,
yeah,
like, where are you seeing? Okay,
yeah.
got it. Yep,
So
under dials. Okay,
yeah,
yep.
yeah. So in the green, these are the totals, and then these are the weekly breakdowns here. Um, so we had 921, 161 answered, and then 11 became a lead. And that's huge. So you actually had a 17.48% contact rate. That's really high. That's probably a record for the week. And just so you can gain scale on that, our average is 7 to 9%.
I remember that from the training, right?
Yeah,
About level setting expectations, right?
yeah, yeah. No, I love that. You really, you're very perceptive. I appreciate the homework you did. You bought the binders. Like, I want to use this video as a training video for my other clients.
Well, the energy right from the intro really connected with me because when you and I had our very first call, I was feeling so overwhelmed. Dedric and Krystal keep saying, like, just be cautious because it will feel like you're trying to sip water from a fire hose with everything that you're buying into with this coaching
Right.
program. But I remember when you and I had the call and you were just so specific. You said, listen, like, don't be overwhelmed. Just make a commitment to go through my videos training. And I thought that was going to be a daunting task, but because those videos are like bite
Sure.
size, right?
Yeah.
You can work at them on your own pace. I think I've seen the whole set now 3 times just because the energy of it to me, just like I really resonated with that style of talking. And you were right. Like the first call, I was blundering. But by the third call, I really had a handle on what I wanted to offer these people.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And what you're saying to me really is like giving me a big hug.
Good.
So
Well, you deserve it. You and your team are awesome. I think Krystal, I maybe owe you an apology because it took a little longer to get going than I thought, but I hadn't realized that was because the intake form I think I had gaps in the intake form. I hadn't given you everything you needed. So I wanted to apologize because I think there were a couple emails from me where I'm just like, is it starting? Is it starting? Can we start?
No worries, no worries.
Uh, no, but that's the fun part. But no, I'm really glad that and it also is good to hear that the training I created, executed as it's intended, really works, right? I mean, I created that based off of 7 years of customer interactions, but so I mean, I kind of knew it worked, but it's cool to see you follow it methodically and then you also get great results. So, that is really uplifting to me. It's like, like when you build a house, you're like, it didn't fall down. You're like, well, people can actually live here. I've never built a house before. This is really cool.
Awesome.
So I love that. And then your text also did amazing. We had 500 text messages. That's right down here.
Yep.
48 people replied, and then
Yep.
12 of those became a lead. And this is super promising. So the way that the results look too, to break it down further for you, we averaged a lead in every 84 dials and a texting lead in every 42 text messages. I mean, that is absolutely stellar. So to your point, definitely land in this area is absolutely untapped, right? These are results, these are extremely stellar results. So I would say land is definitely untapped. Houses is up in the air, right? Unknown how tapped or untapped it is yet. But land is I definitely green light also more in in this area too, right? So like on the next
Fabulous. Okay.
something, we started in a great place is what because land normally does do very well, not necessarily this well, okay, but it does do very well. So I would say this is probably one of our top 10 percentile performers in a land campaign, which means that the market you selected is very good.
You know what's so wild, just to kind of reflect on this, because so I'm a dual citizen. I live in St. Catharines, which is 20 minutes from the Buffalo border, but I love Trader Joe's, I love Target. So when I was first thinking about the campaign, I was really struggling thinking like, should I go Florida? Not Orlando. You said not Orlando, but should I go Florida? Should I go Texas? Should I go North Carolina, closer to the Polites? And then, Mel F, one of the coaches that I'm working with, he's like, you know what? I think your first campaign should be in your own neighborhood. So you can drive that area. You can start to get a sense of like, it also gives you some street cred with those sellers to be able
Right.
to speak to the fact that, oh my
Yes,
gosh,
sir.
you're only 2 minutes from Trader Joe's. That property could be so beneficial to that neighborhood. I noticed there's not a dentist office in that, right? So it really changed my thinking to just like get local first, and because again, like if this is about service and like investing in neighborhoods and communities, it should be in your area. It shouldn't be so broad and vast and unknown, even though yes, what appeals to me is doing it virtually because I can't quite quit my day job yet. um I really learned that. I think there's something in your own local neighborhood as a
Yeah.
starting point.
Yeah, well, and it allows you to move with confidence too, right? And I think that's what's really important because while we're fresh in this, right, entrepreneurship is an ebb and flow of confidence at all times. You know what I mean? That's one thing I've learned. And that's why, especially when we're starting, we need to start wherever it gives us. And like you were saying, you can reference neighborhoods and parks and the area, right? If this was in Alabama, you'd be like, yeah, I don't even know what things are worth around there, if I could be honest with you, right? And so now you get to cut your teeth, if you will, on easy mode in a sense, or confidence mode, because all of these rapport builders are kind of built in. So Mel gave you amazing advice
Okay, cool.
for that, yeah. And then this happened, right? So it's like, well, wow, I started in the Holy Grail area, and it was just coincidental that it worked really well too. But no, I think that's great. And I would remember that piece on confidence too, right? Is because again, it's ebb and flow. I've been in business 7 years, and we're very successful. But man, if I have like a slow day, it's wild. Like I'm like, oh man, that's it. No more customers. That's it. Till the end of time. And then get like a $10,000 order, and I'm like, Nick, you've been doing this for 7 years. And I just shared that because I really respect the journey of. It's
Yeah.
especially tough when you're new, right? I'm 7 years in, and confidence can still hit me below the belt sometimes. And it's a cool thing for us to make sure we manage when we go in, because if we feel higher confident, we'll definitely get better results too.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that. So, I think my thought is that based on where we're at the halfway point, I'm gonna be away. Like my thinking of the 4 weeks is we're gonna be out of the country for 2 weeks in between. But I think I already know that I want to get ready to book this same campaign for another 4 week stint, roll me into the fall, and then like we'll see how. But I think this is the way that I want to get into business, is to keep going these campaigns.
No, yeah, and that's right. And the other cool thing about us is even if you do go away, with us, you can set a start date too. So it's not like I bought it and oh well, it's gonna be running while we're gone. We actually work great in situations.
Okay, I remember you told me that, right?
So you can
Nick, what's the
program.
mechanism to kind of pick, okay, to
Um,
pick the time?
so there's two ways to do it. When you order online, you could do one of two things. You could set the start date for when you return, okay?
Yeah,
Or let's say you aren't leaving yet and you're leaving in 3 weeks and you want the
yeah.
campaign to run for 2 weeks and then we pause it for 2 weeks and pick it up in 2 weeks, we can totally do that too. All I ask is that you could sign up and say, hey, start today,
Yeah.
but then email us and say, hey, on August 15th, I want the campaign turned off. And then when
Okay.
you're ready to go back, email us again and say, hey, I'm back, turn it back on. And the reason why I say to send two different emails, because it could be administratively done. If you tell us to turn it off for 2 weeks, we would probably do that, but it's the safest bet for you to send one email to say stop and one email to say go again. That
Okay,
way,
gotcha.
it's just less, less administrative load for my team to lift and go, what date did she want to turn this
Yeah, yeah,
back
yeah,
on?
gotcha.
And
Just off and then resume.
yeah, that's exactly right. And then we can do
Okay,
that. We do that the second we get that email. You can even send an email that says turn it off on August 15th. You don't have to send it
okay,
not close to date. But then when you want it back on, just email us again and go, I'm back. I'm ready for more. Let's turn it back on.
okay. So then just to look at a calendar, that means that like in my first campaign, I've still got the week of July 29th and August 5th, right? So does that make sense that my first campaign is ending on the 9th of August?
Let me take a look. Oh, yeah, this campaign? Yes. So I would expect this one. Let me pull up my calendar here. Yeah, so we have 2 full weeks left. So the 7th and then the 9th. That's correct. That's when I would expect it to end.
Okay, great. All right. So then my thinking is I'm going to purchase my next one to begin the week. You know what? I think I'm going to stretch it out and start August 26th.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's kind of what my thinking is. And then, Crystal, how do I confirm that I just, want the exact same thing? Because I know the way that I did my intake form was very uninformed. Can you help me so that my second campaign is planned exactly the same, like
Yeah,
Amherst, Buffalo, Erie
yeah. So the
County?
team should have your criteria that you have for this current campaign. And then we can just let them know, hey, we want to use the exact same criteria for the second campaign. And then whatever records they pull, they'll remove any of the ones that they've already done. So you won't have like duplicate records for the same, if you're using like the same area, they'll make sure that the records are not the
And
same record that
also,
they're pulled.
and also on this purchase, because you won't be doing it through the Polites,
Yeah,
when you
this is a new contract, right?
right, and so
Yeah,
yep, and then with us, whenever you purchase, so right before you paid the Polites and they sent you a form.
yeah.
The new way is when you order off of the website, when you order it, it's gonna ask you all those questions again, is what's
Okay,
gonna happen. So then you could put in there, the same as last time if you wanted to, or re-put the same criteria or change it or go to a different city or county. So you will be able to update it there if you wanted to. And if you wanted the same, you could just put in like same as last campaign too.
okay, great. I
Because
think
we
that's what I'll do
store
for
all
the
that.
second one. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Awesome. All right. I think that sort of answers my questions. Um, is there any coaching that you guys, and sorry, Matt, I haven't heard from you yet. Please don't hesitate to chime in. Are there any final little bits of wisdom coaching for like organizing? Should I get into like a an online system database to like store my leads and to kind of keep that up? Or do you think the
So we
old school
do,
method is good for this first bit?
so we do have a CRM. I'll pull it up for you and do a tiny little demo for you real quick.
Okay.
It's perfect for what you're saying. It's only $75 a month and it does have some pretty robust features.
Uh-huh.
But I think I've got like a test one here. So inside of here, this will actually track all of your leads. I think that there's another one.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is really cool. So this is something, this even has a phone system built into it too. So if you can get super, I'll put a link in the chat that will
Yeah.
give you a walkthrough video of this CRM. Give me a sec, I'll put this in here.
I like this.
And then what you want to do is you want to live, what the organized area is in this opportunity section. So in this opportunity section, this is where you could track all of your leads. So right now you mentioned you have 17. So I have like lead interested, qualified. Let me get it different here. This one isn't right. I'm not showing you apples to apples at the moment. I think
And Nick, is there an interop connectivity to the leads? Like, could the feed come right into this CRM
right.
from your
That's
calls?
exactly right. So we can actually, we have a syncing mechanism. When we get a lead, it will go right into the CRM for you.
Yeah, I'd be very interested in that.
Because then it's a twofer, right? Right now, I do love the manual system you've created, and I think that's really important that you did do that, because now you can appreciate how easy it's about to become, right?
Yeah.
And trackable. So this is a better one. I went into a different account so you could see it more relatively. So when you first get a lead, it will go into interested seller.
Right.
And then after you chat with them, it becomes a qualified lead. And if you see, I put in need comps. So after we talk to them and they say, yes, we're close. Great. Well, now we comp it, right? Why comp it just before you talk to them? Let's not invest any extra time than we need to until they're qualified. So then it goes to qualified lead, need comps. Then you make the offer. Then I have offer accepted and offer signed.
Great.
Right? So I have this whole system, and then these are cool. You can just click and drag these too. So
awesome.
So as you move,
as they move through the different buckets, right?
Right. So then you look in here and you can look, if you got too many people over here, you're like, if everyone's over here, you're like, damn, I got some work to do, right? I mean, ideally everyone should be on this side.
That's right. Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
this will
Moving
also
them
help
through.
you, right? This is almost like a task list for you. So this is something that's only $75 a month. It's very good. And also for signing up for this, I give you a $50 off coupon code to use on the website as well. So basically your first month's just 25 with that. So if you signed up with this and then bought that new package, you'd get $50 off your next package too.
That's cool. That's
the only thing you would want to tell us is after you sign up, email us and say, I have your CRM. Please make sure
yes,
the leads
integrate that into my second campaign, right? Okay,
exactly.
Very good.
And then I also put that detailed video in the chat box for you.
Awesome.
So if you wanted to get nerdy with
Yeah,
it, that
let me
was
pull
about
that.
40
Okay,
minutes.
great.
But it will just kind of give you an overview on the main features and how you should operate it too.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, then the last question on my list, and I promise I'll let you guys go because I want to be mindful of your time. In the weekly coaching call, right?
Mm.
Couple weeks back, I logged in very, very green and I didn't know what to hear. And there was a feedback from one of the participants in the call, I think his name was Mason, talking about like the ineffective leads, these aren't good leads. And it bothered me for some time, the way he was speaking about that, right? And I recognize that's an open forum, right? I recognize all of your clients get the chance to like air their grievances, right?
Right, yeah.
But my question is just this, like, how do you want us as participants to come to that coaching call? Just with any questions? Can we get into the specifics of our campaign? Is
Yeah.
that platform just general in nature?
You can, you know, I'll go, you know, the way I work is if you ask the question, you're going to get an answer, right? So
Okay, great.
if you're okay with asking a public question, I'm okay with answering it. You know,
Okay, great.
that's kind of my philosophy, right? So if you want to get, I don't want to say personal because that's not what we're talking about, but like in depth
Yeah.
or like something super specific, the way I see it is anyone watching, they might get a lot of value from that as well. You know, so when if I ever do go deep, I don't mind that at all because
Okay.
my theory is 10 other people probably have that similar question too.
Right. Yeah, and just may not feel like they have the confidence yet. Okay, that's great. So you've given me permission. I'm going to utilize that. I think that's it. Okay, can I ask one more question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. About my leads, I wonder if like I've just been riffing off of the gaps, like when I'm looking at the lead and I'm speaking to the seller, and if there's no information there, I've just been able to say, it looks like my colleague may have missed a question. So if it's coming in blank, is there any reason why it's coming in blank? Like if they're not answering the question, do you know what's going
Very
on there?
often, you know, it either whether it didn't naturally flow or they didn't answer it or, you know, something like that. But you know, what I would do is I think you did the right thing. And maybe instead of mentioning that like they didn't ask, I would just be like, hey, I've just got a couple of additional questions for you, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Is what I would. Hey, I saw my team got some. I do just have two more questions, real fast that you know I missed you on, or that you know
Yeah,
that
some follow-ups, right? Maybe
yeah,
call
right,
follow-up
exactly.
rather than like identifying it as a gap. And then like you say, with the person who's made that call on my behalf, it may just not have been natural, or they maybe didn't answer it, right? And then maybe took
Right.
the call in a different
Exactly.
direction.
And you know, and if you do see that, you can feel free to reply to it because I do like to, I love it when my customers help me audit, right? So
Okay,
if
just
you see
reply right
something,
on the lead email.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
then I'll have my manager listen to the recording, and then we could either improve our training or figure out exactly, or they did ask and it just wasn't answered, right? So the beauty of what I'm trying to do, what I love to do, and I need to make a video about this too, is I want all the feedback on the leads because
Okay, cool.
either
That's another piece you're giving us permission, right? To
absolutely.
okay, very good.
Because either we're going to improve our training or we're going to have a greater understanding as to why that didn't happen, right? It's no, um, it doesn't bother me one bit to dive in, even if there's nothing wrong. It's still, my manager needs to be listening to calls anyways, right? So it's like, so it's all, it kind of just helps us audit more. So if you ever see anything or hear anything, feel free to ask. I definitely want the accountability.
Yep, gotcha.
I
Okay,
will
that's
share that.
great. Thank you so much, Nick.
You're so welcome, Michelle. This was such a great call. I'm actually going to call Dedric after this and just
Oh, you
let
should. He's the best, eh? Well, you're the
you
best too. Like your energy in those training videos is like so easy to implement.
think simple, right? I think that's one.
Simple. So
I
down
think
to
that
earth, right?
yeah, I think that's
I've got
one
a
of my
sticky note right
biggest.
behind me, that says, "Oh, I understand you were speaking with so and so about the address on Sycamore or whatever the
Yeah,
street is, right? I know we got some good information, but I'm wondering, can you take a minute and tell me how were you planning to do that
right.
deal, right? And
What a
that
great
language
line.
just is so simple and rolls off the tongue,
Yeah,
but it works, right? Because it's like letting them drive for a minute, and then you're responding, "Oh, okay, so." This guy's wife's a realtor. This guy's mother-in-law is a realtor. And for whatever reason, he doesn't want to do business with them, right? Doesn't
right.
want to do it that way. So
That's
I
right.
like that. I really like that lead.
That's awesome. Yeah, I always said if I had one skill, is it's the ability to make things feel easy, you know? And it's because in my brain, I don't do hard shit. So it's like as soon as something's hard, I'm out, right? So
Yeah.
it's like
Wow.
I have to compute it as easy in order because I'm lazy, right? I'm not gonna do I'll tell you one little story before we go. I remember I was a restaurant manager for 13 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And my vice president comes in and he's like, hey, Nick, he says to me, hey, Nick, the team says you're lazy. And I said, yeah, I am lazy. I said, you know why I'm lazy? Because I don't want to do anything twice. That's why I'm lazy. So, you know why the team is telling you I'm lazy? Because when I tell them to do something, I follow up with it and I make sure they did it right the first time. And to that, like, I'm not here to go back behind them and clean up their mess. So I'm like, yeah, I am lazy because I don't want to do anything twice. I was like, that doesn't mean I don't want to do it the first time. And, you know, he gave me, this is a true story. At the end of that conversation, he gave me a 35% raise because, you know, I said the right thing. He knows I'm right. And yeah, the employees are bitching because I'm making them work. You
Right.
know?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And they don't want to work. The other managers don't make them work, right? But it's like, but I don't want to have to do their work. So I need to make sure that they do it, right? And I think that that's a part of like the simplicity and, you know, getting things right the first time is, you know, so it's funny, I do call that laziness, right? It's like a unique version of laziness, if you will. But no, so that's totally my style is like, let's do it right, which is why I made those courses. I don't want you to fail forward, then make mistakes, and then you ask me, then I tell you how to do it. I already knew, right? Like, why wouldn't I just tell you how to do it right the first time?
Yeah.
That's really how those courses were birthed. Just because I just created those last year.
Wow.
And it was so
They're
many
not
years.
that long.
No, not that long at all. And that's the other thing. It's really fresh knowledge, right? It's not
Yeah.
like or anything. And I started feeling bad that customers were hiring us and they didn't have everything that was in my brain. I was like, well, I can't spend 2 hours with every customer. I mean, I won't. And so it's really cool. And it's also been great for us because now when someone has a question, we can also refer to a video, right?
Right.
In some
Exactly. And
cases.
I've referred back to some of those videos. Like I'm like, no, not this one. Oh, this one.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
No, my pleasure, Michelle. Thank you. This really brightened
Oh, good. Oh, good. Really deserved. So yeah, please keep it coming. I'm gonna get my ducks in a row, but I am going to be looking to purchase the CRM. I like that idea. I like the idea of it getting sunk into my second campaign. And yeah, just keep this party rolling.
We will. And stay in touch. Like I said,
I
you need
will.
anything, you have any questions, Krystal and
Okay.
Matt, they're here for your campaigns. I'm
Yeah,
here for
and
like
thank you
high
to you
level
both,
advice.
guys. It's so clear that I'm getting like such excellent support. Thank you for everything.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you, Michelle. And I hope you have a great weekend.
Okay, you too. All right, we'll talk again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.